and just see what's going on, see what they think, see what their hopes and dreams are, see who are the human beings, who are the people behind these projects. And so I did a shout out asking for people that the community might want me to speak to, and I'm really happy to say that I've got I've already done an interview with Dovu. I was with our good looking friend Grelf, who I see as another speaker. So I was having a chat with him earlier today. It's very rare I'm the best looking person in the room, but when it's Grelf and I absolutely smash it. So I'm the best looking bald fella in that conversation. So that's nice.
Well, you do have
Um,
Tom up here as well, and I think Tom will give you a run for your money. But Max, unfortunately, I gotta
yeah,
jump here.
Bald bros, man. It's all about the bald bros.
Yeah, you
I've
guys are.
just in
Let me
the
screenshot my.
main man has just come in, Christian Hasker. So I'm going to shut up.
No, for sure. I appreciate that, brother. Let me screenshot it really quick because all three of you are lined up on my screen. So that's an absolutely legendary moment in the ecosystem. But I would like to welcome Christian Hasker to the stage. Brother, I'm going to keep the formality short just because we're low on time here. But it's great to have you up here. I do believe, I was just saying this, that this is a very special moment in the community to bridge the gap on the enterprise and the retail community side. Christian, how are you today, brother?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm actually a little under the weather today. I have a bit of a cold, but happy to be here.
Amazing. Well, feel better, brother. All of our thoughts are with you for sure. I don't know what you have, but definitely feel better. We won't go too crazy with you, but I do know you mentioned you had 30 minutes. Do you have about 20 minutes left, or do you have a little bit more time, maybe some less time? I just want to be respectful of your time.
I have a little bit more time. I can go past the top of the hour if you want to. Yeah, I've got about 30 minutes.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm just going to jump into things. It's going to be pretty quick here. So anyone that would like to speak with Christian, you are welcome to. But first, I will just jump into things. I just want to kind of put a little note here. I know we haven't officially spoken before, to my knowledge, and you probably don't necessarily know who I am. So I'm not going to go too deep into who I am or my experience or my time here. But what I will say is, on the community side, I have been seeing you. I have been seeing a bunch of community members in the space absolutely going for it, seeing, hey, how can we start building these connections? How do we create content? How do we, from the grassroots side, really take retail to the next level? Patches is up here. That was a late night space, super impromptu. None of this was planned. Give me 1 second here. So it should be the second post up on the Jumbotron. My brother, what is HBAR? Again, super impromptu. None of this was planned. I believe it hit over 250,000 impressions, and super grassroots, a bunch of community members came together to support one another. That, to me, is just a taste of what could happen when we have aligned incentives and solid communication across the board from people like yourself and the HBAR community on the retail side. And I truly believe that again, is just going to be a little taste of what is yet to come if we continue to have conversations like what we're about to have and come together. We do host these, and we're going to continue hosting these weekly at 5 p.m. EST, so you are always welcome. I would appreciate if you shot me a follow. I would love to chat in the DMs. I have plenty of ideas to share with you, and I'm sure plenty of community members would love to have some really honest and good quality conversations, because there are a lot of us that have been here for years, grinding every single day for free and grassrooting all of this to support the retail side of the ecosystem. And it would be an absolute pleasure to be able to just have those real conversations, and ideally in these spaces, more so than the DMs. But this is just going to be the start of it. So, Christian, if you would like to jump in on that, I'd love to hear your response.
So I loved seeing the my brother, what is HBAR, sort of organic meme campaign just taking off. I thought that was amazing. It's always a tricky situation for us I work for Swirlds Labs, but on behalf of Hedera. And one of the things that we do not do on behalf of Hedera is promote HBAR as any sort of investment vehicle. Whenever we talk about HBAR, it is in the context of paying for API calls on the network and then securing the network via de minimis staking. So you start to see where the retail community has a lot more freedom to pick up things like that and run with it. But I understand you're probably like, well, where is Hedera in this? Why aren't they promoting it and amplifying it? But that's really why we take a very conservative view of HBAR. It's a utility token and used for those two functions. But watching the community pick up and run is awesome. You know, Max earlier was talking about a lot of the attention we have on the growing DeFi ecosystem now. While we are having some conversations behind the scenes about things we may be able to do or things we can't do, again, the community has a wonderful opportunity to really promote so many of the exciting projects that we all know and love, and try to bring new people into the ecosystem as well.
Incredible, brother. Yeah. And so seeing, and I just wrote some notes down based off what you said. I want to touch on 2 or 3 more topics. So seeing Tom's thread, I'm not sure if you gave it a read, Tom Baiga. It's up. Give me 1 second to find it here. It should be 5 posts in.
Yeah, I've read it.
Awesome.
I've read it. Yeah.
So I do believe that specific post was something really special in the ecosystem. Seeing Shane's specific post as well. I know this one's a little touchy, but we will be covering it regardless because a lot of community members just want to talk about it, right? Seeing Shane's specific post, right, with the Lehman token, right? I know, again, it's touchy, but basically in the way that it was approached on saying, hey, you know what? Meme tokens, DeFi, I think those are all good things for the ecosystem in terms of bringing more retail exposure, but being able to have those conversations with people like myself and pretty much anyone that's a speaker up here on this panel could basically say, hey, you know what? There are tokens here. There are initiatives here that could be, quote, retweeted by the foundation or Shane or whoever is, quote, retweeting these kinds of things. It could be done a little bit differently, right? And having those real, honest conversations with some of us like that, I think would be a massive, massive step forward. And I think a lot of the community members are asking for that. And so basically taking that step with us, whoever those people might be, could be massive for this ecosystem. We saw that post specifically blow up for for better, for worse, right? But I do believe with good intentions, trying to showcase the DeFi side of the ecosystem is going to be a massive win. And we're seeing Sauce blow up and have that retail exposure, right? So if you want to respond to that, we'd love to hear it as well, brother.
Yeah, so I did read Tom's thread. I thought it was well thought out and well crafted thread. And if you haven't read it, it's worth a read. It talks about this divide between retail and enterprise. And it does exist, and it really exists by design as well, because as a technology, the technology has to be adopted by developers because you need to build applications on the network. Those applications then may have either a business user or they may have a retail user. When it comes to the entire DeFi ecosystem, then you really are talking about retail users that benefit from that. And again, it's just really hard for us to promote to retail users. So we have to walk a fine line of promoting the use cases, and then the use cases can be adopted. And how I view DeFi today on the Hedera network is really exciting because we missed the first wave of DeFi back in 2021 because Hedera token service was just coming to market at the tail end of that. And then with the improved smart contract service and that programmability, not to mention a lack of tooling and infrastructure around that whole space, we kind of missed the first wave. Now we've seen in the bear market applications like Source of Swap, like H Suite, that are really building on the network, doing innovative things that really play to Hedera's strengths and benefits. And those protocols are, as we see, are being adopted by retail users, which is great. But for us to be able to put the spotlight on that is hard. We did do that in 2021 with the budding NFT ecosystem, and did a campaign around that. And we'll continue to explore what we can do to support the community and promote these very exciting use cases, because these cutting edge technologies that people are building and around DeFi protocols, borrowing and lending, they are paving the way to become the infrastructure of the future for the whole financial backbone, right? If you can disintermediate a centralized player and still maintain trust, high security, then that is a better business model than the one that we have today. And the traditional financial institutions are staying up to speed. They're looking at what is happening across the entire Web3 industry, and we'll see some of that, make its way into the enterprise in the future. I have no doubts about that. And so in the meantime, it's kind of incumbent upon all of us, I think, to play around with what's there, provide feedback. I love playing around. I never put anything into any of the projects that I'm not happy just losing 100% of. That's a bit of fun, and I love to take advantage of all the cool stuff that's happening on the network. And there's a ton of it right now. And hopefully, as a community, we can attract, new users, new eyeballs to Hedera. And once you try some of these applications on Hedera, and then you go back and use a different network, the differences are incredibly stark. So I think if we can bring new users, we have a good shot of really keeping those new users.
Yeah, brother. We'd love to jump back in here really, really quick. So this will be my final point. So a couple things. Everything that you say, I said, I thought that was great. I do believe that being able to focus upon the retail side, having a voice, being able to have a dialogue with us, bridging the gap on DeFi, NFTs, which will be the main ways on the community side of things, to bring in more developers. I did see, I'm trying to remember if it was Charles or Shane. I think it was Shane, and then I spoke to Charles on this in Jack's space on the Thursday edition spaces with Kabila. They were talking about, we were all talking about how DeFi specifically and memes will be one of the biggest ways, if not the biggest way, to bring in more people on the ecosystem side. So again, I understand why Shane did the retweet and the quote retweet, but seeing the My Brother, what is HBAR, we're going to go back to patches, right? HCS 20. I believe it was documented. Patches, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Cut me off if you need to. 500 TPS at the max. We're talking like an enterprise grade throughput with just like a couple dozen degens, just trying to test the network, utilize the network on what is here, really, right? That kind of stuff is what I'm seeing. We're talking millions in TVL, millions in just user potential throughput across the board. And I just fully believe we just have a sleeping giant on our hands on the retail side, but it has to be leveraged in a very meaningful way. And it starts with having conversations with us in spaces and in DM. So any way that we can continue to push this specific forward, I'm here for it, brother. And any way we could do that, we'd love to DM and talk more about it.
Yeah, happy to. I like to think I'm pretty accessible and try to be responsive. It's hard sometimes. Email is the best. Christian@swirldslabs.com, because it's not as immediate as like a DM. So if you can queue things up, I'm happy to calendar a meeting and listen to ideas, and really be honest with which ones we can action and which ones we can't. Max and I spent some time together, fortunately, back in January, and had a very frank dialogue about, the things that we cannot do and should not do, for the overall health of the project, but then some of the things that then allows community members to do. And I try to wear both hats. I try to see things from both sides.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, and I will be shooting you some emails on behalf of myself and any community members. I know we got a bunch of questions, so I don't know how much time we will have. Christian, are you still free for another about 20 minutes? Does that sound?
Yeah. Fire away.
Amazing, amazing. So I do want to give the opportunity to our amazing co-hosts first. So Permabull, J-Man, if you would like to chat with Christian before we jump into the speaker panel, you guys are welcome to speak with Christian.
Yeah, I think one thing real quick, it transitions well into this. It's just a quick one. Christian, I think somebody mentioned it earlier in this space that you had said something about making yourself more available here and there in spaces as well. Is that something that you are in fact planning on doing going forward? Obviously, you're not going to be, in spaces even necessarily every week, but are you planning to moving forward maybe incorporate in popping into some community spaces maybe a couple times a month just to make yourself available for people who may not deal well with email or want to hear it from the horse's mouth, hear your voice, hear your tonation. It was something I was talking about at the beginning of the space. The Hedera community really, really likes to connect through this medium of spaces on Twitter. And so knowing that moving forward, is that in fact part of the plan to occasionally come up here and make yourself available moving forward?
Yeah, so I love spaces. I have attended many spaces over the last couple of years since it became a thing, even Clubhouse before spaces, if you remember those. There is now so much going on in the Hedera ecosystem, which is fantastic. Like a couple of years ago, there were just a couple of spaces, so it was easy to go to all of them. Now, which is again a testament to the community, there's so much activity going on. So what I would just appreciate is, again, via email is just um, like a calendar block that I know when your spaces is going on. And then, once a month I can clear meetings around that space and then I can hop on and join. And I'm happy to do that. But just trying to keep track of them all and join, ad hoc is a little bit tricky. I would love to attend more. I think it's a great medium. I think, it's easy sometimes to fire something off on Twitter, but then it's not a great medium for really understanding a lot of what led to that and the sentiments behind it, where, this is like a joint conference call where we can talk things out and go deeper into topics. And then maybe someone can summarize and then put that out as a thread. I think that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And the reason we do these Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. EST every single day, so that exactly can go down for the HBAR ecosystem. Christian, I'll send you an email with the specifics, but again, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. EST. But we do have other HBAR community spaces as well that cover quite a bit of alpha, but we cover mainly community updates, alpha from platforms, DeFi, and of course, community leaders such as yourself. Perma, if you want to jump in, and then we will throw it to Patricia.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Christian, for coming up and being so open and honest. This is truly what we've been begging for the past 2.5, 3 years. And I do actually want to start by apologizing with how I came across. I just wanted to highlight the feelings the community has, and especially with replying by tweets. We don't have emotions or facial expressions behind anything. So we kind of took your tweet just a bit, it kind of upset the community. But now that you're here, we retract our emotions and how we reacted. But we just want transparency and engagement with Hedera, and especially with the HBAR Foundation, who kind of have the authority to look over the community, but we don't see that much, and that's where our frustration also comes from.
Yeah, so to be clear, by the way, people have called me a lot worse, and really nothing phases me. I have a pretty thick skin, so I never worry about that. I do try to take everything the community puts out with really good intentions behind it, because I know that we are super passionate about, we all have choices of technologies and communities to be part of, and we've chosen Hedera. And so we all have that in common, right? So even when frustrations surface and, tempers get heated, I never, ever, ever take it personally, even though over the years I've had very personal attacks at me. What I will say is just about my tweet. It has nothing to do with people's valid frustrations at all. Though it is good to have dialogue around that, and seek solutions where we can, or agree to disagree where we can't, and keep that communication flowing. That is all fantastic. My only point, and it sort of still remains, is we're in a unique moment where we have new eyeballs coming to Hedera, and people ask me all the time, what can we do as a community to attract new users and keep them engaged? And so one of the things that is within all of our control is how we project the community across the industry. And if we are having arguments and really showing a lack of trust within our own community, then is that a welcoming environment for people who are coming into the project new? So my tweet, again, Twitter is very short form content, and like you said, there aren't expressions behind it. It was really a well-intentioned observation about something that, I think we have a unique opportunity in this moment.
Real quick, guys, we do see the people requesting to speak. We will try to get you up onto the speaker panel as soon as possible. And we do ask, IPEX, I don't know if you second this, but once you've asked your question, if that's it from you, aside obviously from the co-hosts, we do ask that you step down so that we can bring more people up in an effort to try to get everybody's voice heard.
Yeah, brother.
Thank you,
No, I
guys.
appreciate that. I will say, since we did specifically invite people. If you were invited, you don't have to drop down. I will just say that you're more than welcome to stay up. We just have a lot of people requesting to come up, but we also have a full speaker panel as well. I know a couple of you disconnecting, so I tried my best to bring you up. But we are talking about specifically community updates on the macro side of things. So there's a lot of alpha to cover today. But J-Man, I appreciate you, brother. Permable, appreciate you as well. And Christian, of course, appreciate you, brother, as well. Patricia, I did see your hand go up. Then Tom, then Tatsu, if you want to have a go. The floor is yours, Patricia.
Thank you, IPEX. Christian, it's for you, of course. You must realize that all the questions that are coming right now are probably for you. What I wanted to ask is, yes, we need more eyes on retail. We need more eyes on Hedera in general. Accounts like Swirls, like the foundation, like even the Hedera account, they have a lot more visibility than the projects that are building here. And sometimes support, it's not only about the grants, because we know that grants take a lot of time. Sometimes there's not enough funds available. They need to be analyzed. We understand all that. So why can't we have support in a sense that the account from the foundation, the account from Hedera, the account from Swirls repost posts from projects that are valid, that are building the ecosystem. I'm not saying that the Hedera account or the Swords account should start reposting every single project that comes to Hedera that didn't even launch and it can end up being a rug. But things like, for example, I'm going to give a very specific example. I posted here on the Jumbotron a couple of days ago. A user was able to sell 490 NFTs to several users by performing one single action at the Centex marketplace. And this is unheard of. I came from ETH before being at Hedera. I don't know any other marketplace right now in any single network where a user can sell 490 NFTs at once to several buyers. The platform, for the user, the platform shows one single transaction, one single authorization. In the back end, it divides in smaller transactions so that they are accepted by the network. But the user doesn't see any of this. What the user sees is that I'm selecting 490 NFTs and I'm instant selling them, and that's it. They sign that transaction, it's done, ready. So this is something that it would be really important, because it brings eyes not only at Centex, the project, but also at the fact that at Hedera, people can transact 490 NFTs at once. And that is our current top, because the sky is the limit. It can be 500, it can be 1000. So what I'm asking is, isn't there a possibility to have a more open dialogue where the Heather accounts, World Foundation Association could repost this type of community initiatives and posts?
Well, even one better, to be honest with you. So, again, it is hard to retweet everything. It sounds like that is one that we absolutely could have reposted. But what we would rather is really collaborate with you around some content that tells that complete story that you just outlined. That can be, if you have something that you want to put out there and promote around your project, and you reach out and you let us know what the narrative is, for this one, we may say to you, oh, this would be a great little blog post on Hedera.com about, the differences in cost between sending 490 NFTs on Hedera versus Ethereum. You've got the background, you've got the experience, and then we can promote that, because that's a real use case. It's not retail focused. It's talking about the advantages of the technology itself and the low fixed fees, which is all goodness. But it's hard for us, again, because there's so much going on, which is fantastic, to really keep apprised of everything and know what to just promote, one thing over another. So as far as we are able to plan programs and campaigns and roll things under those campaigns, that becomes a lot easier, because there is a consistent message and thread and approach to it. So later this quarter, we are going to be launching a real world asset and digital asset tokenization campaign. Again, what you're doing at Centex with NFTs could absolutely fit within that campaign. So this goes for sort of everyone on the call that's building a project and wants to promote the project. Always reach out. If we can jump on a quick call and understand some background and work with you on an approach forward, then we want to do that. We want to tell these stories. So hopefully that helps you.
Awesome.
I will say I use Centex. I love Centex. It works great. So you have a big fan.
Amazing. Well, appreciate that, Patricia. Appreciate you, Christian. All right, we're going to continue going through the hands. I believe Tom was next, then Tatu, then Solo.
Yeah. Hi, Christian. It's been a while since we've talked, and apologize if the long threads caused anybody any pain. But my background in the ecosystem. I've been a consultant, helping teams create their businesses from the ground up. I've now actually jumped into the builders realm, and we started building our own project called Pixfy. But the frustrations that people are having, they're at a point where they just don't feel like they have any avenue to speak, and this is a gap that we have now. And most of the frustration, really, I think, centers on the core infrastructure of the network. It's right. We did not hit the last bull market in stride because we didn't have a thriving DeFi. But if you compare the DeFi that we have now, even if you compare what we have with NFTs now, compared to another as an example, Sui was founded 9 months ago. Their TVL is what, almost 10 times ours. The number of projects, the amount of infrastructure that they have is significantly more. We have a bridge. Our bridge doesn't even touch Solana. We don't have oracles. We don't have lending. There's all these things that we don't have, and this is what these are the things that builders who have small businesses. You may have a wallet, you have a DEX, you have a marketplace, but in order for them to basically add new customers, they need to have all of that core infrastructure that Web3 users can find on other networks. And those are the things that we've been told from the foundation are our priority. Elaine has her focus of the week tweets once a week. They go back for the last 6 months. Liquidity is on there over like almost half of them, but we're not seeing it, right? So this is where all that frustration is coming from, and all these builders have communicated it back out, but they don't feel like they're being heard. And so the community decided, you know what, we're going to say something. We're going to try to be as respectful as we can. Let's see if that can get the conversation started. And I think that's sort of the background of where all of this has come from.
No, I understand 100%. I understand the frustration. I share that, right? I wish we had multiple oracles, not just like one that plugs into everything, but multiple. I wish we had multiple bridges that connect to the ecosystem. I wish we had like easy infrastructure providers like Alchemy that you can develop against. You don't have to, use the HBAR APIs if you're used to using something on another network. So I totally hear the community. I'm part of it. I share that. Again, I like to assume good intentions, and I do believe the HBAR Foundation is working to fill these gaps, like they say. Is it going slower than we would all like? Absolutely, no question. Is there anything I personally can do about it? Absolutely not, right? One of the sort of downsides of decentralization is you do have these autonomous organizations, and influence is one way to get things bubbled up to the surface. Relationships is another. Open lines of communication is another. And I do believe we need to be opening up all of those channels of communication. But I do also truly believe that not just recently, but these issues have long been heard and in their own way been actioned as well. It may not be happening as fast. And of course, I can't comment on Sui and how they got to where they are. I just know our ecosystem. But yeah, you get no pushback from me saying we don't need all of this infrastructure like yesterday. We do.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the question there, Tom. Really, really quick, you guys. Just super brief room reset. Don't forget to like, retweet, show some love to the space. Comment hashtag HBAR as well for the algorithm. Tatsu, if you want to jump in. Christian, I do want to be respectful of your time. So at any point, you are welcome to drop off or let me know if you have to leave, brother.
Yeah, it'll be another 10 minutes. I can go as many questions as we can get through. I'll try and answer them quickly. I'm rambling.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. So, Tatsu, if you want to jump in, then Solo, then Seminole.
Sure. Yeah, so first of all, Christian, I hope you get well soon. I don't know if you've read the book Stakeholder Capitalism by Klaus Schwab, but generally, I think as the global economy moves forward towards, digitization and also autonomous societies, this idea of stakeholder capitalism becomes more and more important, where, we look at all the stakeholders of a business or, a product even, and then we try to define our strategy as businesses in a shape and form that serves all of those stakeholders adequately and doesn't, prioritize a single stakeholder too much compared to the others. So it kind of looks at all of the stakeholders in a more equal way than the traditional capitalist society we are kind of coming from, and morphing into this stakeholder capitalism type of thing. And generally, I think it's important for us as a community of a public network, of an open source network, to be able to have tough conversations and also, make sure that we understand the social consensus around issues and topics, because that social consensus is essentially the truth in people's heads. Now, when we're talking about public relations, it's about making sure that those truths are in somehow like a blockchain, so they make sense and people understand why things are the way they are. So, generally, I was wondering, what steps do you have in your mind to make things more transparent for all stakeholders and logical, so that there is no misunderstandings, there is, no upset people, and, enabling sort of a visibility into what's happening, because I generally think that would be pretty good. So yeah, I was just wondering, what steps do you have in mind? And again, get well soon.
Thank you for that. Um, so you are right. There are multiple stakeholders. As an ecosystem, we should think about all of those stakeholders. Where I disagree a little bit is, and this is less about what you said today and more about content that you've put out there, is you are looking to Hedera itself, Hedera the council, to fill a lot of gaps for the entire stakeholder ecosystem. That is unlikely to yield great results, because you're almost making it a centralized entity. So Hedera Governing Council itself can be more transparent, no question. I think so when you ask about what steps, I think we do a good job, although maybe in these minutes not as timely as we all would have liked. Hopefully that will be addressed moving forward. But we tell you the what got decided, but we have not done a good job of how did the decisions get made. And with large enterprises, as you know, they are very risk averse. So, first of all, we get them comfortable with what got decided. And then over time, maybe committee by committee, some committees will get comfortable explaining how they came to those decisions and sharing that content. So I think it's going to be a journey. Some of the transparency, and going back to Tom's question and points that he was making, we are a decentralized organization. So Hedera is one part of it, but then you have the HBAR Foundation and the Hashgraph Association and the DLT Science Foundation, all of whom are at different stages of their maturity cycle, and all of whom need to get comfortable with what they want to share consistently, how they want to share it, and via what mediums. And of course, I'm a proponent of, I hope we trend in a direction of more transparency over time, but it is beholden and incumbent upon those individual organizations to make those decisions for themselves about how they share information. If they're in investment theses that they want to show, or they want to put a spotlight on grant recipients that are, hit certain milestones, or the number of grants they've done in a specific quarter, any of those milestones, they really need to decide for themselves. And I do know that all of those organizations hear the community loudly and clearly, and are probably wrestling with what do they share, how do they share it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, y'all. We're gonna go through a couple more hands here before Christian has to drop off. Dead Pixels, HBAR, I do see your hands up. Who did I say was next, Solo or Seminole? And then we'll continue.
Solo and then Seminole.
Awesome. And then we're gonna go Dead Pixels, then HBAR. Solo, the floor is yours, brother.
All right, thank you for having me, Charles. Thank you for attending this space, the town hall space. I just want to bring it back, and I appreciate you touching all the topics. And as you can see, the community has a lot on their mind to talk to, and people that are in your position about. And I could touch upon what Patricia talked about, what Tom talked about, and everybody else. But I really want to bring it back to where this conversation started, and you saying, with all the new eyes on Hedera, let's put our best foot forward, and saying airing dirty laundry in public and blah blah blah. So when we talk about this, and you referring to and I told you that on any given day I would completely agree with you. And when you're saying that the new people that are coming into the space, and we want to give them, we want to project the community, you said, we want to project the community across the industry in a more favorable light. And but I would also like to say, when people and teams and users are coming into the space, transparency is number one. And that's been an issue with powers to be that are in Hedera. We've never gotten any clarity, any applying for grants or whatever, any support. I could rant about other chains that have done it different or what not, and obviously you would be more knowledgeable about it. But as much as it is on us as users to protect the image of Hedera, at the same time, there are situations that are not very attractive from the actions of the people that are in position of power, that are not attractive for the devs to come. And we know, if the devs are not coming, the users are not coming, and the users don't want to come to a place where there's not enough development happening.
No, I agree. I agree with that. We should absolutely make ourselves as developer friendly and focused as possible. When we think about, our core target audience, that's really who we want to attract. A lot of that goes to Tom's point about having the right infrastructure in place as well, to make sure developers have a great experience on Hedera. We know there are gaps in the ecosystem that have to be filled. It's a little bit of a chicken and the egg, because you need that infrastructure to attract um, uh, new developers, but then you need a lot of developers to justify the investment in a lot of the infrastructure as well. So I do know the foundations wrestle with some of that. And I do know now that third-party organizations looking to integrate with chains, it's becoming, sure, they want grants. They always want grants to integrate their bridge or their Oracle, whatever it is, their lending protocol, their custodian. But also they look at the economic activity on the network as well, because they're making business decisions. And I do think that this recent rise of activity across the DeFi ecosystem and NFT ecosystem on Hedera should really help with that.
And I know I'm overstepping the boundary over here, but and they also look at transparency. They also look at what is if everything is laid out properly, if everything is not this mystery box that we've been dealing with and yet still supporting the ecosystem for the last 2 to 3 years.
So I'd love ideas of things that I can do to open up the mystery box, because we don't want a mystery box. But again, the organizations that I think you want more radical transparency from, they are going to make those decisions for themselves. And I do know that they hear loudly and clearly from the community.
Awesome. Well, I love the questions, love the dialogues. Moving forward, Christian, would love to connect with you on bring you into these spaces so we can have some more specific planned questions. But I think all the questions have been amazing. Dead Pixel, if you want to jump in, then we will go to Seminole, then HBAR Row.
It's actually Seminole, then Dead Pixel. Sorry, IPEX.
Gotcha. Okay, Seminole, I apologize. I'm over here switching up here the names. So Seminole, then Dead Pixels, then HBAR Row, in that order. Christian, appreciate you, brother. All right, Seminole, floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi, Christian. I'm actually talking on behalf of H Suite this evening. I'm just wondering, given your position in marketing, I'm just wondering about the scope and exactly what you do with regards to obviously the recent announcements that have come out of H Suite with us obviously onboarding enterprise onto Hedera and working alongside government entities. This is all out of Malaysia. I'm just wondering whether things like that, big news like that for a project that hasn't even received any funding, just purely community driven, whether it would be really within the scope of what you do to help promote things like that, because I believe that information like that is the kind of things that drive, besides just DeFi, really helps drive retail adoption from other chains. And it would really help with, obviously, I'm aware that you're looking to get involved in more spaces like this going forward. But from a professional capacity of what you do, it would be really helpful if you helped get behind community projects like ours to help spread that awareness out there.
Yeah, so it's the same answer that I gave to Patricia earlier. We don't know what we don't know. So if there are announcements that you have planned or campaigns or, key customers that you're landing and onboarding, then, reach out to us, let us know about that in advance. We will make a fairly quick determination if it is something that we can support. So around some of the actual DeFi protocols itself, it's just a really tough area for us to be able to endorse and promote in that way. But if you are onboarding an enterprise and they're taking advantage of H Suite and it's a government organization in Malaysia or whatever it is, please reach out in advance. Zenobia is able to help with some media pushes sometimes if there's a good hook. We're able to help with blog posts, or if it's exciting enough, a webinar that we can promote, especially if it is something around tokenization and can go under the tokenization campaign. So this is where just please open up the lines of communication. Always email me, christian@sweltslabs.com. And if we can help, we want to help, because it's in all of our interests to show off the amazing use cases that are being built on the network.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Christian. And I will definitely be taking you up on that. You'll be hearing from me. Thank you.
Good. Excellent.
Amazing. All right, Dead Pixels, you're welcome to jump in. Christian, really appreciate the time, brother. Will, the floor is yours.
Thanks for that. Hi, Christian. Will from the Dead Pixels team. First, I just want to co-sign all of the thanks for taking the time to jump on this space. I'm not really adding anything particularly new to the conversation, so I'll make this really brief. But I really wanted to re-emphasize just how valuable I think the community feels having spaces and open dialogue in kind of this type of a format, and really to focus on or to reiterate the importance of we have a lot of formal spaces or spaces that have kind of a a set dialogue or a set kind of program, but just how important some of these informal spaces are, and the types of things that you can get out of these. I think an example that you were just speaking on is exactly that. Like the gems that you get out of sometimes spaces like this are, the community coming to an understanding that we can't just expect you guys, with everything that you guys have on your plate, to just retweet and see everything that we have going on. Us putting together things that can help you understand the message that can go out, and help to reinforce that, that's valuable. And so these types of informal spaces are where we can have those conversations, because again, in like a holiday space, it's not it's really a space to get up and start having that type of a dialogue. And so one thing that I also just wanted to suggest was to, since you have those connections and relationships with the people, not just on Swirlds Labs, but on Hedera and the HBAR Foundation, to hopefully, get that message across to them as well. Just understanding how important those informal spaces are to have these conversations, and really what it means to the community. And it helps to, that pressure valve that everyone's discussing. There's frustrations that come about. I think most of us know you guys are working hard and focusing on a lot of things. And I think a lot of us also understand why there's a disconnect, and a lot of us appreciate that you guys are focusing on things that aren't necessarily retail driven. But again, these informal spaces are where we can kind of bridge the gap between that disconnect, and a lot of value can come out of them. So just wanted to throw that out there, and thanks again for being up here.
No, thank you. And like I said, I'm happy to join. I can commit to one a month, I think, and I will also encourage others to join. Hopefully, some will, and I'm sure some
I
will not.
appreciate that as much as you can, and we'll also try to see how much we can pester other folks as well. But we know that's not all on you.
Yeah, pestering is definitely the word. We're gonna get as many people in the right places at the right times. Will, appreciate it, brother. All right, Christian, I do want to be respectful of your time. We do have
Yeah, I
two
have a
minutes.
super hard stop at like 3:30. If there's one, 30-second question, we can take it.
All right. Well, it looks like HBAR Row, you get the 30-second question. You're welcome to jump in, brother.
Hi, Christian and everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'll be quick. Just in Dr. Lehman's recent in the meetings recently, he mentioned planning on EVM equivalents being pushed. So I'm just wondering, is that something you'd be looking to push with HBAR Suite and partnering with our version of Smart Nodes?
So I am not on the technical side of things, but if you reach out to me, I will plug you in with the product team. And actually, Patches can do that as well, who I think was on earlier. But yeah, reach out to me. I get you connected with the right team there.
Yeah, we have a meeting later with Tim Hale, Mikhail, and
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful.
we're also
All right.
regularly
Awesome.
in contact with Greg as well. So
You're
everyone's
talking.
pretty familiar with it, and from what I believe, they like what we're building and the product that we have. So it's just a matter of Hedera coming on board and seeing if they want to partner.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
awesome.
thank
You're
you, brother.
talking to the right group already. That's great.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. I'm looking forward to seeing you around and a bunch of other absolute legends in the ecosystem. It's been a great time, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, so much. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you are.
We love
Thanks,
you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you guys show some love. Feel free to throw some hearts, some hundreds, some hashtag H bars in the comments to show some love for Christian Hasker today. All right, we're gonna bring some more people up as well. I know we got a bunch of people requesting. Safe Investor, I do see your hand is up. I'm assuming you did want to ask Christian a question, but I know he had to jump off. You're welcome to jump up if you want to chat with us, brother. If not, we're gonna head into some Jumbotron topics. The floor is yours, brother. Safe Investor, the floor is yours, brother.
Good talk, good talk. Going once.
All right, no worries. All right, I'm gonna bring a couple more people up. Feel free to request to come up. I know we've had a quite full panel, so not every single